All right, y'all, finally made it to week 3, where we are talking about the practical applications of AI for teachers. These are all the ways in which you can use it for your planning, for differentiating materials for students, and all the creative uses that you can use AI to help you with. This is where you will get into learning about some cool tools and how they might serve you and save. This week's tie to the instructional framework is also focused on the learner's reality. So these are some questions that I just want you to think about while you are going through the tools and all of the content that is coming ahead. Just think about how AI can support peer-to-peer interaction. How can it help students take ownership of their learning, and really empowering them to use their voice? Not just using AI for AI's sake, but how can we use AI intentionally as teachers to create more opportunities for human interaction? Anywho, enough of that. You're going to start with the weekly video where you're at and then dive into the learning essentials. So I've got 5 different tabs here. Go through what you can because all 5 cannot be completely done in a week. So pick and choose what's most interesting and important for you. This first one of practical ways to use AI, these are slides from last January's District PD Day, where Dom and I and Stephen and a few other folks presented on artificial intelligence. So we shared a few ideas for how these tools can be used. Check that out if that interests you. And the slides are on the bottom, and there's a choice board full of tools that we had shared that day. Some of those tools will be repeats as you go through the rest of these tabs. But we're going to be talking a little bit about UDL here. So there's some information for you. And I actually used ChatGPT to help me with this. In the paid version of ChatGPT, you can create a chatbot. You can actually do that in Magic School as well. But for this purpose, I gave a chatbot the instructional framework and the list of instructional tools that the district subscribes to or that we have access to. So here it helped me to kind of create this list of which tools would be really useful for the 3 different domains in the UDL framework. So I'll put the disclaimer that anything that is not on the list of core instructional technology tools for our district, you gotta kind of be careful because they don't all have a signed data privacy agreement with us, which means they may not be 100% safe for students, that their data may be used and sold to third parties. There may be ads that are targeting the students, things like that. So under AI for our multilingual students, there's a lot of really good stuff here. Even if you don't particularly teach ELD classes or have even a lot of multilingual kiddos, there's a ton of learning here. So if you're special education or if you're looking for more tools to just make classes engaging, this is like the spot. And it's also a really good tip when you're on YouTube or TikTok to look up things that are for multilingual learners, because those are all really good and fun, engaging strategies for all of your kids. AI tools for differentiation. Eric Kurtz is a consultant and educator in Ohio, and he puts out tons of content. He does webinars and all kinds of things. But look at his doc of resources. He shares everything like this from all of the workshops and everything he does. So he's got tons and tons of tools and demos and how-tos and all of it. So definitely peruse through all of those tools. And when we're talking about differentiation, we're talking about all students, but I know there are a lot of special education teachers in the group. These are for everyone, not just for the special ed teachers, but I know that this is going to be one that special ed teachers particularly gravitate towards. But don't ignore the AI for MLs. There's tons of overlap between the two. And then this last one is prompt frameworks and libraries. So I'm not one for a lot of jargon. I think sometimes it overcomplicates things and makes it seem like inaccessible, like prompt engineering. We don't need to be engineers in order to prompt a chatbot. Why make something sound harder than it is? But I do think that this particular framework is really helpful in just getting started, especially if you're new to using a chatbot, but even if you've used one before or for a while now, making sure that you really clearly give it your situation and the problem. What are you trying to solve? What are you trying to do? And then Kismet is a really interesting one. If you haven't tried this before, you're going to ask, what haven't I thought of yet? So go ahead and give it all of your ideas first. Have the conversation, brainstorm, narrow in on some ideas. Be like, okay, here's what I think I'm going to do. Blah, 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 blah. What haven't I thought of yet? What else could I try? What else should I consider? And it might give you something really awesome. In addition to the Spark template, there's these prompt libraries at the bottom here, and these are really helpful for getting ideas for things that you could ask AI to help you with. These are organized by topic, and you can just scroll down and see all these little buttons that are going to help you find some prompts. Under the extra resources to explore tab, we've got AI generated images, video, and music makers. So those are fun tools to check out there. Grading the chat, this is a really interesting way to grade by a former English teacher. He just stopped teaching just this school year to do this consulting work and do more webinars on grading students' interactions with the chatbot alongside their essays. So this might be particularly interesting and helpful for English teachers. But if you are trying to find ways to incorporate that process in addition to the product, this is a really great resource. There's a webinar and more details in his blog. So this week, use any tool of your choice and create a resource that's going to help you teach your students better. So it could be creating some kind of graphic organizer or a visual of some sort. It could be creating sentence frames. I use ChatGPT for that all the time. Creating questions for students or SEL supports. I've used it for team building games too, like community builders. There's all kinds of ideas on here to help you think of something to create. And if you want to share it in the discussion board this week, great. But there's nothing to actually turn in this week. Just go play. On this week's discussion board, I'd like you to share about something that you have used AI to create. So if you've used it to create something for your students, you could tell us about it. You can share whatever you're working on or your draft of something you are creating. Tell us about your challenges. How much did you have to tweak what you were getting from the tool, or was it mostly ready to go? And then also, I am wondering if you are sharing with your students how you're using AI and what you're using it for. Just something to be thinking about if you haven't really done much yet or even shared anything that you've generated with your students. Think about being really transparent with them and modeling that responsible use of AI and how it can be beneficial. Next week, we're going to talk about authenticity and academic integrity, but I look forward to seeing all of your practical uses for AI this week. And please share all the wonderful ideas you have and the things that you've learned. See you in the discussion board.
AI for equity, that's what we need. Let's unite with courage and light. The future's in sight, let's do this right.